have ever hated are the Turks. I used to pray from my early childhood, God save me from the Turks. And when I was disobedient, my mother used to tell me that the Turks would come and take me. And as I was often disobedient, I lived in constant hysterical fear of the Turks, and I started hating this atrocious savages. And yet I had never seen a Turk before I met Önder. I think this started hundreds of years ago, in the early days of the Ottoman Empire. Then pirates from Turkey or from Algeria used to sail to the northern countries and plunder the churches and steal healthy people for slaves. And since then, the word Turk has the meaning of something which is aggressive and warlike.
You know, since we've got a Turk right here in the studio, I think we probably ought to produce him. And you can't produce a Turk in 1958 without a Greek. So I'm wondering, Patsy, would you and Swan cede your places to Önder Güler from Turkey? And where's Önder? Here comes Önder. He's the one who was playing the mandolin at the opening of the program. That, by the way, is the Forum Blues that Önder composed shortly after he got here, and it's become almost our theme song. Everybody knows it. From Greece is Angeliki, Laiou. Now, go ahead, aggressive and warlike Turk. Did you follow fully what Björn said about Turks?
Yeah, I was listening to him, and you know, we Turkish people would like very much for the other nations to see the difference between the Ottoman Empire and the modern Turkey today. Unfortunately, the people who don't know enough about the things that happened in the 20th century always mix up their prejudices about the Ottoman Empire with their thoughts about modern Turkey. I just wonder if you do the same thing in Greece, Aiki.
Well, I just wouldn't say that we do the same thing in the same way in Greece. But it's interesting that one ocean and one continent across from Iceland, we still have kind of the same feeling towards the Turkish people. And I would say that it's kind of more natural for us because we really have suffered much during the 400 years of the Turkish occupation. And because we had to survive, our nationalism and our difference from the Turks, which came to be that we were better than the Turks, had to be stressed. And even today, if we see someone who doesn't eat in a very polite way, we usually say, "Are you a Turk?" And it works. And at school, when we study history, we usually say that the Turks have destroyed a great civilization, our civilization. And what is interesting is that some people get the idea that really they didn't have any civilization, any great civilization of their own, and that, well, they're not very well educated, and in general that no Turk can be any good. Also, another strong prejudice in my country is that the assurance that some people have that the Greek people, now and forever, is one of the most important and intelligent peoples on earth.
It sounds pretty interesting,
yes,
you know. I'm glad that the word Turk has a better meaning here in the United States than it seems to have in Greece and Iceland. Am I not right that the members of the Young Turk group in Congress are glad and proud to be called Turks?
Yes.
Anyway, we got bigger problems with bigger nations, so we don't have the same kind of prejudice in our country against Greece. You know, when I was a little boy, I used to play Russians and Turks just the same way American kids play cowboys and Indians. This shows that our biggest problem is with the people who are the biggest problem of the whole free world today. You are also telling that we spoiled your civilization in Greece by occupying your country for more than 400 years. But I would like to point out that if the Ottoman Empire didn't give you the freedom of religion and the freedom of keeping your civilization, I don't think you would be able to talk that way today, just because there wouldn't be any nation called Greece anymore, Greek nation anymore.
Well, honestly, I don't think this is a very effective argument. First of all, I think that, of course, in different countries we study history in a different way and we stress different points. But still, I think that both of us would admit that maybe in the beginning they did give a certain amount of religious freedom to the Greeks. Maybe just because they wanted to stress the Orthodox religion and keep them away from uniting in some way with the Catholics, which would produce a different situation for Turkey. But then I would say that later on there were some really bad conditions for the Greeks, and they didn't have the opportunity to study their own language. They had to study it secretly under bad conditions, and well, I wouldn't say it was much of a tolerant spirit, but still, I don't think that a nation with the long tradition that the Greeks had, with a strong national conscience, with the language, with their religion, and which was very different from the Turkish. And by the way, I think that you would admit that the Turkish civilization wasn't as great as the Greek at that time. I don't speak about today, I speak about that time. Well, I think it would survive if even after, under strong oppression, just because oppression can't limit the mind of people who have such a long tradition and who have to fight continuously as the Greeks had to fight. And I would say that after strong oppression, the nationalistic spirit just blossoms like the Greek, the Jewish, or anything else in the world.
But tell me, you peaceful people, what about your feelings about the Cyprus dispute?
Well, I would like to listen to the Greek point of view first.
The Greek or mine?
Well, I thought that your point of view was the same with the Greek point of view when I first met you in the beginning of the forum. Is there any difference now?
Well, there's difference in all of my opinions and ideas in 6 weeks.
Really,
anyway,
Ike?
yes, certainly. And I think this is one of the most important things that this forum has done to us, to most of us.
Well, go on. Forgive me for interrupting.
Well, I would say that our strongest argument, the strongest argument of the people of Cyprus, is that every human being has the right to the right of self-determination. And I would say that, of course, the situation now in Cyprus is very difficult because of the strong conflict between the Greeks and the Turks. But as some British people admit, and as we point out in Greece, I don't know what you say in Turkey, this problem really didn't exist some years ago, but it began to exist just because the British aroused it, so that they could divide and rule. And I would say that now Great Britain doesn't have hold of the situation anymore. But I would say that Cyprus really was a part of Greece for many, many years, more than it was a part of Turkey. And of course your argument that it's near Turkey is very strong.
Well, let's hear Önder's argument.
Well, you see that self-determination is the most important thing for a place to be belonging to some other country. But we must also take consideration of the historical and geographical facts. As you know, Cyprus has been under Turkish rule for more than 300 years. And it's only 43 miles away from Turkey, and it's 150 miles away from Greece. You know, the Taurus Mountains, which are on the southern part of Turkey, just go under the sea and go up again, that faces Cyprus. I mean, that's a part of Turkey. But of course, I realize that there are more Greek people in Cyprus than Turkish people. There are, I think, 300,000 Greek people and 120,000 Turkish people. And our opinion about Cyprus is not to have the whole part of the island. We wouldn't be so foolish to want that. I mean, there are so many people in Turkey who want it that way, but I just don't think that way because it's not the logical way. But I think that the northern part of the island, where there are more Turks, must be belonging to Turkey. So we will be sure that the rights of the Turkish people over there are given as well as the rights of the Greek people there. And I mean, if we have that part of island, we won't have so many things. I mean, there will be just a few more grapes and wine in Turkey and this is all, but we will be spending much money to defend that part of the island against the other nations who don't want the real peace over the world. You could realize how bad it would be if Russia had a base in Cyprus and control all the Europe. And as you realize, Turkey has a strong army, and if Greece has Cyprus, Turkey will be defending that part of the world against Russia indirectly because of NATO. But if we have it, we will be defending that part of the world against Russia very well.
Don't you think that NATO is able to defend Cyprus?
Well, if we'll be in Cyprus, then we'll be able to defend it by ourselves and
now
by
it's
NATO
defended by
too.
British.
May I speak, please? Well, first of all, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to defend Cyprus, as we are able to defend Greece, and we were able to defend it even after the after the disaster that had come after the Second World War. I won't go very far into that, but I would say that your historical argument is not too strong, because Greece, first of all, was under Turkish occupation for 400 years, and I still think that Turkey does recognize Greece as a nation now, and as a country now. And as for the geographical, it's strong, but look at Pakistan. It's divided by India. Still, it's one country, one nation. And, well, I don't think that many people in the island would really like the partition of the island. And I don't think that Greece would like for the island what I would like for it. Well, my point is that for some years, Cyprus could be sort of independent nation under the control of NATO, just so that the atmosphere is a little calm. And after that, we could have self-determination. And I think that the rights of the minority could be very much respected, as they are in the northern part of Greece, while they are not in Turkey.
Well,
but don't you think now, Angeliki, if Cyprus would be unified with Greece now, that 19.4% of the Turkish minority would suffer from the Greek rule?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think that they wouldn't like it, and I think that it might start even a war. That's why I don't really think that Cyprus should unite with Greece. But still, I think that we do respect the rights of the Turkish minority in the north.
But what about Cyprus being a Commonwealth of Britain, like the?
I don't think the people of Cyprus
there'll be
like
still
that.
troubles in Cyprus, you know, if Great Britain will be on Cyprus, because you know, all the fights and everything in Cyprus are because of just because the Great Britain does not give the same rights to every individual in the island, and that makes the problem. And as we are in the NATO with Greece, and I think it would be the best way to divide the island in two parts. I don't want the whole part of the island, but just a part of it, and because of the facts that I pointed that out. You told me that there had been a changement between your opinion about Cyprus before you came here and now. Would you please explain that to us? I mean, what difference did you feel you had by being here in the United States just about 2 months?
Well, when I refer to the difference, I'd rather refer to the difference between my prejudices against Turks, which weren't very strong when I came here, but they're less stronger now, much less stronger. Still, I think I've understood much better, and that really it's not a solution for Cyprus to unite with Greece right now. I mean, I had a vague idea, but I wasn't that sure.
I've got to interrupt you. We've only got a few minutes more, and we've been talking so much about prejudices about each other's countries. I wonder if each of you could quickly, starting with you, Björn, tell us whether you have some prejudices against Americans because of Americans in your country.
Yes, I think that it's not really against Americans, it's only against the American